You're listening to The I Am Show with Tonya Don Rekla and the Superpower Experts. Listen to the podcast, watch the series, and become the I Am.
Hello, everyone. I'm Tonya Don Rekla. You're listening to the I Am Show. I'm so excited today to have with me Angela Maria Arvizo. She is one of our coordinators for the I Am series. So you're listening to this both on the I Am Show and also this is the video for the message in the I Am series. We chose to do it this way to model this idea of all of this synergistic collaborative energy that really is at the heart of everything that we do. And we believe is one of the founding principles of having success in this existence, stepping into communion with the divine. There is a natural collaborative principle in the energies that create in the universe. And when we can move into harmony with those, we're able to access those. And that's what the point of the I Am series is. It's step 2 on the path where you get to learn with us. You get to take some of the techniques that we cover and apply it into your existence. And that's where Angie comes in. She's one of our coordinators there. And she has this amazing ability to tap into the I Am and to really embody that and to help others see it as well. So she's the perfect illuminating kind of brilliant beacon of light in the I Am series, and also on her show High Frequency Healing, which she does in both Spanish and English, and also as one of our coaches in our Superpower programs in that collaborative container, helping to guide our clients into knowing themselves more fully as who they are. So Angela Maria, Angie, my love, thank you for joining us today.
Yeah, Tonya, it's a pleasure to be here and be able to share the light of God through me.
Beautiful. Well, we are so glad that you're willing to do that and have the courage to step into that space. So let's talk about that a little bit, because that's kind of a heady place to go to, is to think of like, wait, I could be an aspect of the I Am. I might be, special. I might be bigger than what I think of myself, or maybe what others have reflected to me, or maybe what society has told me about myself. Like, how do you reconcile that within yourself?
It has been a very interesting path, and I've been so blessed to be walking this path with you since 2017. And I was just finishing an interview with a very interesting guy, very divine guy. And while he was talking about the soul and the processes of the soul, I realized how this path hasn't been easy, but has been guided. And if you ask me how this process has evolved or unfolded, I think that the only reason why I've been able to do it is first because I listened to you when you said, it's not you, let the spirit move through you. And I remember that when I listened to that, I thought, because there is something particular, and I want to explain this first. If you are talking to Tonya on the phone, you pretty much understand, and everything seems like you don't question. Well, the other story is when you finish the conversation and your life goes on, that's when the real challenge comes. So what I did was I always take notes. And when something during my conversation really clicked in my soul with Tonya, I wrote it down and I put it in a sticky note right in front of my computer. And I think that was the main strategy for me to be able to walk this path through your sentences and those messages, like let the spirit move through you. I was meditating during a long time, even when I went to the Akashic records and being there with not receiving much, not knowing what to do, what's next, what is this happening. I remember that the only thing that I repeated for months was, I just want the spirit to move through you. I'm willing to let the spirit move through you. And right now, after some years, I don't think I am where I should be, where I need to be. But I know God expects more from me. But I've been able to get to here without giving up, because I'm be willing to take a deep breath and just be willing to let the spirit move through me. Otherwise, I would just quit many months, years ago.
Well, I appreciate your perseverance, and so many people have benefited from that. And it's challenging, right? It's an interesting journey, because my guide was God, right? Christ was, I don't know what, but it wasn't a person, right? There was no body that was housing it in my experience. And so it's interesting to hear the feedback where you have someone who's incarnated. And it's that in a lot of levels, I think in some ways that's easier, but in some ways it makes it that much harder because I'm fallible, right? Like the beautiful thing about following Christ, at least in my walk, was that he's not screwing up in front of my face every day, right? And I screw up every day. And so it's really hard to accept like the brilliance of the information. And then here's this persona that is equally not perfect. And I'll tell you that in delivering that information to people, right? In delivering the message that you can do this, that was such a crucial part of my journey, because otherwise it meant that I was the only one who could. And I knew that wasn't possible. I knew that wasn't the way it was. In fact, I remember very distinctly the moment I came into conscious awareness in what I've termed the abstract frequency and saw everyone there. And I knew in that moment that everyone's been there the whole time, and that we all have the capability of understanding, and we all know. We all know. And so it destroyed all of the theories of people aren't ready and no one can hear this. And I realized that that was all my own self-protective mechanism. It's weird because the ego plays so many tricks. When we move our awareness into spaces, the ego learns right alongside with us. It has to keep up, and we want to continue to evolve it and to develop it. We just need to stay in control, right? We need to manage it and call it into action, not the other way around. And that's what mimics this walk with God. Whether you connect with God, cosmic energies, the divine, your higher self, whatever you can tap into that says maybe we're bigger than what we appear to be, right? What we've thought of ourselves as, whatever that is for you, take that step. I'll never forget, Justin and I taught counterintelligence agents at the counterintelligence special agent course before we left government. And we taught them, like, I don't care if you read a fortune cookie, if you go and read your horoscope, like, do something that says, I want to get to know myself better. I want to see how I respond to this. And so I love the feedback of like, yeah, it wasn't easy when Tonya was encouraging me to be more and to be bigger, or calling me out maybe for giving into my fear. And at the same time, in my heart of hearts, I knew that's what God was saying to me, right? And so to allow me to be the voice for you, I would say is part of what enables you to be able to both receive that and deliver also. But it's a weird walk, right? Like it's kind of a crazy thing. And so we're telling people to go to the I Am series and commit to watching one of these videos each week, and then implementing those techniques into their existence. And so with step 1 last week, listen to the podcast, right? If you aren't doing that, if you're not listening to one podcast episode each and every day, at least one, do that now. Because, well, not right now, wait till after the video, but do it here today, because it starts that process of attuning. By doing that over and over and over again, what Angie's talking about is there's a cumulative effect to your development. And then all of a sudden you look up and you can say things like, I let God speak through me. Whoa, what's that, right? You can do that? Like, who does that make you? And wait, what does that make me, right? Those are the things that we battle in those spaces. But as long as we're continually stepping forward on that path, we just naturally kind of get there. And so let's talk to people a little bit about the I Am series and why you think it's such a powerful tool as that second step of the process to prepare people to really grow in our superpower programs.
I think one of the most important things is I will ask you to ask yourself how much I want what I want. And if your answer is 100%, you need to take action. And
That's
one
right.
of the actions right here, right now, is that I'm serious. And there are many, many reasons why, but I will give you 3 that for me are the most valuable. Number 1, they are guided from something that is bigger than you, than me, and even Tonya. This is not Tonya,
Right.
this is not Justin, it's not even me. This is something bigger guiding all of these series. I was blessed to be in one of the planning sessions at the Recla's house. And it's really magical. And hey, magical is not because you just do this and something appears. Magical is because you take the action to open yourself and be a channel of love, and things will start unfolding and moving forward and flowing in a way that your mind wouldn't allow it to happen. The other reason that I think is really important why this I'm Serious is a great resource, it's because you're going to start seeing yourself in a different way. You're going to start seeing yourself as the observer. Because it's constantly during the I'm serious. And if you listen to Tonya, if you join us in our programs, that's the key. You need to be the observer. And sometimes that sounds kind of, how do you do that? Then come to the I'm serious and follow the steps that Tonya is suggesting us in every single series. And you're going to end up being observing yourself in awareness and consciousness, in love, without judging, just being able to say, I could have done it in a different way. Next time when this happens, this is what I'm going to do. And when you're able to observe yourself, there is not any other result by taking your life to a different level. And the last one that for me is, I think, is one of the most important things that I have discovered in this work in my path with superpower experts. It's living this process in joy. I think that every time that you are listening to a session or to a video, taking notes, meditating, there is a point where you feel this ecstasy. It's like an orgasm by yourself without doing anything. But feeling this, I always get tears in my eyes. It's something like, I don't know why, I don't know how, but I'm just happy. My life out there is kind of weird. I may not have everything that I want. I may not be where I want to be, but I feel this. In one of the spiritual words is samadhi. It's a spiritual ecstasy. And I have been able to walk into that experience through superpower experts. But I am pretty sure that if you do all the series in I'm serious, if you follow the steps, if you listen, of course, first ask yourself how much I want what I want. Because if it is 100%, then it's going to be easier. But after that, being able to live this spiritual path in joy. Because I think that out there, people have this idea that a spiritual path is boring, that you need to meditate, that you need to be in silence, that you need to be, I don't know, like wearing white things, no eating meat, no chicken. Like, I don't know what people are thinking out there. Let me tell you that this path, it's exactly where you want to be. God doesn't want you to do or to be anything else that you already are. And that's the joy. I love chicken. I love shrimp. I love sometimes a little bit of meat, chorizo colombiano, no Mexican. And being able to
be clear.
Yes, that's very important because it's completely different. But being able to enjoy life as it is, but doing it, being a channel of God, for me has been freedom. Because I thought that to walk this path, I need to be somebody else. And spirituality is not about doing a shortcut for your human experience. Spirituality is living this human experience to the fullest, being a channel of love.
Beautifully said. I couldn't say it better myself. You're listening to the I Am Show, folks. We're talking with Angela Maria Arvizo, and we're talking about step 2 on the path to unlocking your superpowers. This is also the second message in the I Am series of the path. Stay with us. We're going to come right back after the break and talk more and Angie's amazing brilliance and her path in really being able to step into being a messenger for the divine. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Hello, I'm Tonya Dawn Rekla, Executive Director of Superpower Experts and creator of the Superpower Network. Welcome and thank you for making us your go-to place for inspired content, training, and community. The network is so much more than a place for amazing content. It's step 1 on the path to unlock your superpowers. Listen to 1 episode daily on the Superpower Network and attune yourself to inspired conversations, higher vibrational living, and much, much more. In step 2, you learn with us by watching one of our inspirational videos each week from the I Am series. And when you're ready, come grow in community. Our superpower programs offer a unique experience for those ready to harness their superpowers to change themselves, their lives, and ultimately, the world. Go to superpowerexperts.com and take the next step on your path today.
Awesome. We're back. You're listening to the I Am Show. I am Tonya Dawn Rekla, and I have with me here Angela Maria Arvizo. We're talking about step 2 on our path of the kind of the superpower world, right? How do you unlock your superpowers, which is kind of a fun way that we frame it up. That's a software that we use, but it's not frivolous. I think it's really important to make note of the fact that we do talk about superpowers. And while it is fun and there's lots of great marketing that goes along with that, we're deadly serious about this. And when I say deadly serious, I mean, regardless of what people want to acknowledge, there are many, 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 many people waking up to abilities and ways that they're communing with the divine, and talents and supernatural things are occurring, and they have no idea what's going on. And it's really easy, especially if you've grown up in any sort of a spiritual existence or a religious existence, to wonder if that's putting you at odds with God. And it's super important that we have these conversations and talk about what is happening, what's not happening, making sure that we're not coming from fear. Interpreting things from fear, folks, is disastrous. And so part of why the I Am series is such an incredibly crucial part of this process is it reminds us of who we are and who we are not. And if we attempt to continue to push at life from our own personal volition, all that can result is anything that we as our persona selves are able to create. It's only through attuning ourselves, like with step one of the process, and then learning how to implement these things, that we actually are able to get our persons to where they can align up with this, right? It's one thing to be able to receive the information. It's quite a different thing to live it. Angie, can you talk a little bit about your experience moving from like, okay, I know, to actually like, whoa, I am this? How do you explain that? We've watched so many clients through that process. What are you seeing kind of with your experience and other people's?
I think that one of the things that makes a little bit of difference in my experience and what I've seen with the clients is that I already had this connection with the Akashic records. So I already knew how it was to be in a different frequency. And I think that was the only difference. And not because they cannot do it, it's just because they are not there yet. But one of the things that I think is really unfolding, and it happens in that process, and I need to be honest, I realized that in my conversation with Tonya last week, it's how important it is to be teachable. And we have discussed that many times, right? We need to teach the clients to be teachable, and we need to be teachable. And of course, you listen to things and you say, yeah, that makes sense. I was a teacher for 23 years, so believe me that I know what does it mean. But being in this path, that was crucial. And I need to accept that I wasn't always teachable. Like sometimes it was resistance, sometimes it was a lot of doubt, a lot of fear. But I was starting to ask myself exactly what I ask my clients: how much I want to be a superpower expert, how much I do believe that there is something for me here that I cannot get it anywhere else. Mm-hmm. And how much I really want to take my service as a therapist, as a soul inspired, to the next level. So for me, that question is always clue. Every time that I'm feeling that this is not for me, that I don't want this, that Tony is saying something I don't like, or my guide is telling me something I don't agree, or the coach is always going back to this place of how much do I want this? And the other one is being humble. But being humble, not as we have learned it. In A Course in Miracles, I love what they say about being humble. And being humble is realize that I'm God in me. And when I can realize that I'm God in me, then I don't need to fight. I don't need to resist. I just need to trust. And for you to get to that level, to the second stage, it's important what we said before: just be open and place the intention to let the spirit move through you. But also there are some actions along the way, like having routines. For me, waking up and always smile and say, God, thank you for this day. It's crazy, I know, or I don't have any idea what's going on today. All of this is yours. And always place the intention to be a channel of love. And then go and say hi to my husband, and they go downstairs and do my green juice and play music while I'm listening. And like all of those little things may be not important, but you cannot imagine how big that makes the difference, because it's just setting you in that intention of I am one with God through every single thing that I do. And when you are open to do that, that works for me beautifully. Like I know now that being teachable, having routines, placing the intention that I'm God in me in every single thing that I do has been crucial to not giving up and being able to stay here and be here with you today, sharing with you my path.
Beautiful, beautiful. I think too, part of the reason why that works so well is it creates this wonderful feedback loop where what we're doing is we're demonstrating to the universe, to the creator, to source, that we are willing to move into harmony with that. We're willing to not make it about ourselves in terms of the persona self, right? The small self, right? That's the piece that most of us were raised to put front and center. And so we developed a persona, and what you're talking about is such a beautiful dance, because it doesn't just allow us to be in joy and at peace, but it allows us to screw up. And we do screw up, right? And I love that you're giving voice to that. I think a lot of people operate off the misconception that I don't take orders, right? Like that nobody's telling me that I screwed up. Nobody's telling me I did the wrong thing. Nobody's got it. It's like, whoa, like, no, much different. Like I have to answer to the big guy, right? Like I get my butt handed to me on a daily basis, which is how I know how to do it, right? In the sense of like, I don't get to cut corners, right? I don't get to stop. Like I just, for whatever reason, learned at a very young age, but I don't know. I'm not even going to pretend. I can come up with stories, but ultimately it comes down to, I'm very clear on who I take my guidance from, and I allow it to shape me. I have to be teachable. I have to be trainable, not just to what I'm seeing in the reflection from you amazing people that I surround myself with, the people who are going to hold me accountable to this walk, but ultimately I have to be teachable or I lose it, right? I don't get to continue growing and developing this. I don't get to continue to be consciously aware of this beautiful co-creative process if I don't choose to always go in the direction of, well, what do I want most, right? And there's moments where it's like, my ego's like, no, this isn't fair. And it's like, okay, but what do I want more than that? Right. And I think that that's such an important question to ask. And for whatever reason, from jump, I put my evolutionary journey above all else, to the detriment of all else, and persevered to align myself with God, because that's the experience that I wanted. And it meant questioning everything. It meant saying, I don't think we have to do things that way. It meant raising our daughter differently. It meant developing our marriage differently. It meant developing organizations differently. It meant working differently. It meant talking about things like this very publicly, even when it sounds weird. It meant doing things in the podcast network that have never been done to create results that have never been created before. That's what this means. And if you want that ride, if you want to move into harmony with the divine, then you have to be willing to walk the path, folks. If you're sitting back thinking that magically with the law of attraction, you're going to manifest yourself on this amazing developmental journey where heaven appears on earth in front of you, you're crazy. And I suspect that you've tried and it's not working. We're very clear, like, you will shop us last. Like, that's how it works. Like, you might go read a book after this, you might do another workshop, but you will never, ever, ever, ever forget who you are. And you will bring that into every situation so you can light things up. That is our mission here. And that is what we do. And so when we talk about the I Am series, we're not just talking about another video series. We're talking about permission to say, I know who I am. And I refuse to accept the consolation prize. I refuse to be less than. For me, and we all have our thing. For me, it was Neva. And the other two kids, it was when Danica and Caden came on the scene way before Neva, before I was ever a mom, right? That was the first opportunity where I got to see, especially through Danica, like, who am I going to be for this young woman? Right? She was 7 at the time. And it's like, who do I want her to know me? Like, this is way beyond like a brief moment in a kid's life. Like, I'm the model for what it means to be a woman in this world. Wow, that was powerful, right? And it made me go, and then so that kind of opened it up a little bit. And then Neva comes along and it's like 24/7. Here's this person looking at me to see what life is about, and it's like, what do I want to teach her? What do I want to show? Do I want to be in fear? Do I want to tell her it's not safe to be wholly who she is? Do I want to speak out of both sides of my mouth and say, no, you can do anything, and at the same time play small myself? right? And so we look at everything, folks, in the I Am series, in the network, and especially in our programs. And if you're tired of wondering why things aren't working for you and why you're not seeing in the projection, why your world hasn't changed to align itself with the beliefs that you hold, walk with us. We can help you. But we're done letting fear write the narrative, right? Love gets to write the narrative, folks. And when that happens, the miraculous occurs. There's no excuse. We're telling you it's possible. We're telling you how we did it, and we're telling you that you can do it too. No excuses for continuing to stay miserable. And it's not easy. We're not going to lie. Every single one of these brilliant women will attest to the fact that they've gone toe to toe with me, and it's not fun. But in the same way that I've gone toe to toe with God, and it's not fun when you're face to face with your own limitations and you have a choice to make.
And sorry. No, I just
no worries.
say something that the only reason why it's not fun is because you're going against God in you. When you go with God in you, with the spirit, the universe, the awareness, it's so fun. This weekend, I had a very interesting experience, and I was immediately going back and thinking, why is this going on? And the only reason is because, again, I was trying to do it my own way, saying, God, this is yours. I give you this. But I wasn't really giving it. And
that's just kidding. I'm going to hold on.
Finish. That's when the fun, it's not there anymore. But as soon as I said, it was halfway, now it's all yours. I swear I'm giving you everything. I swear now, things immediately. But and I always say this, do not believe us, verify. It was right. That I start feeling completely different. Because that's the only reason why it's not fun, is because you're going against, you are fighting, you are reacting against that experience of the spirit and the universe in you.
Beautiful. I love that you mentioned that. I had a situation like that this morning, and it's like, it's possible to find inexplicable joy in situations that would typically be devastating. And you're like, I shouldn't laugh right now. Like, that'd be bad. But it's kind of like that delight of like, oh, God was here too. God was here too. And when you can see it, when you can open your eyes, there's nothing to be concerned with. So I love that you mentioned that. So let's wrap up here. We have, after the first message, your assignment was to listen to one podcast episode a day on the network. And if you're ready to look at being a podcast host, if you're ready to get your message out there, right? We've all done it. It's okay. You're in good company, and it's a lot of fun. But that was that message last week. This message is get into the I Am series. Go to superpowerexperts.com, put your email in at step 2, and you'll get these in your inbox. It's so important that you just commit to this. That discipline Angie's talking about is making sure that you're saying, I am committed to this, because otherwise we get pulled off course, right? Because it's easy for us to get distracted. So we've made it super easy for you to commit in bigger and bigger ways as you get ready to join us in the programs. And some of you are ready for the programs. You know who you are. You need to go check those out. If you're sitting there and you know you've sat for too long in your own resistance and you have work to do here, you need to go check those out. Go to superpowerexperts.com. It's all there for you, regardless of how you choose to walk on your path, folks. We just encourage you to do it, and make sure that you know that you don't have to do it alone, right? You can be loved. You can be supported. We're doing it. We have a great time. Join us in the Superpower universe. We're happy to have you. We accept all people who are willing to step courageously onto their path. Angie, any final thoughts from you?
No, just let the divine urge activate in you. And that's the key.
Beautiful. Beautiful. I could not have said it better myself, folks. Thank you so much for joining us. If you're listening to the podcast, make sure you go and check out the series, and vice versa. We welcome you into all of our spaces. Those are our gift to you. That is our mission, that we walk humbly and with the utmost ecstasy, right? The orgasmic experience we all get to have in walking this path with the divine. Thank you for joining us. Till next time, take care of yourselves. Take care of each other. We do love you. Goodbye for now.
Thank you for listening to the Superpower Network. Go now to superpowerexperts.com to unlock your superpowers and change your life today.